So let's create a checkbook from scratch. Here I'm going to use the blank template. And this is going to be a lot like our expense report. We're going to have various different columns here. We don't need a header column there, so I'll get rid of that. And the first thing we'll have here is we'll have a date. Each row will be basically a check. Do description, expense, deposit. So the idea is that if the item is a check that we're writing out, go here. And if it's a deposit going in, go there. And then we'll do a balance because we want to keep a running balance. That's the only columns we need. Let's assume we need a little more space here for a description. And let's go and enter a sample line here. So I'll put a date there. For description, I'll just say it's a bill. And let's say it's $45. Now let's format some things. So we've got this column here should be formatted by date. So this is fine, 9/1, but let's set a nicer format. So we'll go and say date and time. We'll set it to this, and we'll set the time to none. So now any other dates that we enter in here, like for instance, we'll say the next bill is on 9/2, it works out perfect. Now these columns we'll set to currency. And we'll stick with the default here. 2 decimal places. Let's do a 1,000 separator. That'll be nice. And we'll leave it at US dollars. Let's go and do this other bill here. And we'll say this is $123. And let's do one more as a sample. Let's do a third bill. Let's pay for a cable and do it like that. And let's shrink the number of rows we've got all the way down so we just have those 3. Now to be a checkbook, what it should do is keep tabs on our balance. So what we don't have here is a starting balance. So let's do that. I'm going to go here into the first row and I'm going to insert a row, add row above. And it creates this blank row here. And I will put in an amount. And under description, I'll say starting balance. And we'll leave it like that. We can maybe do something special with this row here. I can select the entire thing. And under text, maybe make it bold and italic. There. So now to calculate what's going on here, we can do the balance after this check here is equal to what's above it minus what's over here. And that's great. That works out. And I can copy and paste that here and here. And you can see it's always taking what's above it, subtracting the expense, and we get the result. So what happens when we pay our bill or we make a deposit into the checking account? So let's go and say we did that on September 4th. And I'll say this is a paycheck. And the deposit here is going to be $504, some change. We need this to update with adding this. So we don't want to have to change the formula based on whether it's an expense or deposit. So what we want is a new formula. I'll select these and delete it. What we want is a formula that takes the number above, subtracts any expenses, and adds any deposits. And that will do the same thing for these because there's no deposits to add. A blank space is taken as a 0. But here, the 0 is under expense and the 504 is under deposits. So we add that and we get the total there. And that's really nice. We can continue on and do another bill. And we can see now it automatically added that formula there when we increased the entire table by one row, and it's keeping track of everything. There's more that we could do. We could go ahead and I'm going to drag down here and add another row, but I'm going to go into table here and create a footer. So this is a footer row down here, and I'm going to create a formula which is going to be equal to the sum of all of column C. And I'm going to copy that and paste it here, so it'll be the sum of all of column D. So now I have my total expenses and my total deposits for this list. Now notice they also carry this formula over, which isn't what we want for that. We could just leave it blank, but we could also go and set its own formula to be the starting balance here minus and then the expense total plus the deposit total. And we're going to get the same number. So if we can continue to add something here, and I can add something else. And you can see these two will always be equal. So that's kind of nice to have there as a footer column. You get the total expenses, total deposit, and a repeat of the balance there.